Welcome everyone to our Lunch and Learn. I'm Marilyn Moser and I live in Northwest Iowa. We have a beautiful fall day and wanted to take some time just to talk with a very special guest, a very dear friend of mine, Joanne Shearer Parkin. She resides in two states, actually. She goes between Arizona and South Dakota, and she is just a wonderful friend. She is been part of the same company that I'm in with LifeVantage. We are a nutrigenomics company, but we have a very different scientific approach to our health products. And there is so much information right now. Actually, what interested me into doing this webinar interview with Joanne is because this week I was listening to a podcast with a physician, Dr. Bashar, and she talked about the connection between a certain bacteria, a probiotic, and her patients that were able to avoid being hospitalized with COVID because they had the certain bacteria that they were using in their probiotic. That bacteria is in one of our in our probiotic that we have in our physique line. So I just wanted to dive in a little deeper about the power of probiotics, postbiotics, prebiotics, and what is the difference between those three. So Joanne is a registered dietitian, a master nutrition expert. She used to be a heart hospital dietitian here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And so just has a renowned pedigree, I should say, because she and her husband, Jim, they live in Arizona. She's a grandma, a mother, very active at her age, retired, and loves to help people with their educate people about wellness and health. And she herself is very, very healthy and has a wonderful wellness lifestyle. But she's authored cookbooks. She was one that brought the nutrition of heart health and the Mediterranean diet to one of the first hospitals using that about, what was it, 15, 20 years ago?
Right. About 2001, 2012. Yeah, that's been a while ago.
Yeah. 20 years. It's extremely
exciting. It's fly by.
But the fact that you had the foresight to start that Mediterranean diet, do that connection. So heart health has been close to your heart as well. Absolutely. But you also really realized in the last 20 years how the gut-brain connection and the gut connection to overall immune health and even weight loss, and just the massive amount of research that's coming out with the microbiome in the gut and how important that is for our overall health, you guys. So I'm going to toss it over to Joanne and let you run with this. I want you to talk about all of this information that you know, and thank you for joining.
Just interrupt me if you think of a question as I'm going along too, Marilyn. So so welcome everybody. And I think as we're moving into fall, I think one thing that's on everybody's mind, at least on mine, is what I can do to keep my immune system functioning at peak performance, right? That's really what I think we're all thinking about right now. And one thing that Marilyn was talking about is how important our gut is in a healthy microbiome. The microbiome is they've identified it as really like another organ in our body. There's more DNA in our microbiome than the rest of our body. It's amazing. So it's so important to have a healthy microbiome. Of course, foundation is a good, healthy diet. Eating a wide variety of foods. Of course, fiber is what fuels your microbiome, a diversity of fiber particularly. So there's been a lot of interest in prebiotics, probiotics, and now we have something called postbiotics, to help to promote gut health. I myself started taking probiotics about, 30 years ago. I was reading the research. I was a dietitian at the Veterans Hospital in Montana, and I'm reading all this research, and I'm thinking, those poor veterans, we put them on these toxic antibiotics. We need to get some good bacteria back in their gut, right? To help to prevent some of the horrible diarrhea that comes with those antibiotics. So I went to the Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee and I said, hey, we need to get these in. We need to have some probiotics on our hospital formulary and pharmacy so we can give them these probiotics. Well, I was a little ahead of the time maybe and then the pharmacists were like, probiotics? What are those? So as you can see, we've come a long way in the world of probiotics because most hospital pharmacies now carry them, guys. So, right. And why? Because of all the thousands upon thousands of research studies showing that you can take live microorganisms and put them in a pill, and you can have people take those, and it's going to help to boost up your gut microbiome. And so that's amazing, right? So what is so important about your gut microbiome is that 70% of your immunity resides within your gut, right? It's that gut microbiome. And so if you can help to balance that out, it's basically with your gut microbiome, it's about modulating the gut microbiome, having the right kinds of, I call them the good gut guys, right in there. So you want to have the right kinds of bacteria in your gut. So that's what, the probiotics are so important to help to populate your gut. And then we can move on and we can talk about prebiotics. Prebiotics are the non-digestible fibers that feed the probiotics, right? So you can kind of think of your gut like your garden. And so the probiotics are like the seeds in your garden, and the prebiotics is like the fertilizer, right? So it's not a matter of just getting those probiotics into the gut. You want to get them to grow and to populate and crowd out the bad guys, right? And what happens too is there's a fermentation process goes on in the gut. And when the probiotics feed on those fibers, the prebiotics, that process produces some, I call them bioactive compounds. So you actually, we're going to talk about postbiotics, but it's like a postbiotic effect of the gut. So some of those compounds that are generated are called short-chain fatty acids. And these particular fatty acids work on the gut-brain communication and tell you you're full. That process of that fermentation in the gut produces these anti-hunger hormones, because Marilyn already talked about, how your healthy gut can help to promote weight management. And that's one of the key principles with that, with the probiotics and the prebiotics, and generating those compounds. Those short chain fatty acids protect the mucosal gut integrity, the lining of your intestinal tract, protects that. So that's critically important as well. And then we have something I call the new kid on the block in the area of biotics. Now we have something called postbiotics, okay? So postbiotics are inactivated probiotics. So these are not live microorganisms, but what it is these are probiotics that are no longer alive. And all of their, I want to say bioactive compounds or constituents. And generally what they do with a postbiotic is they'll take a probiotic, a live bacteria, they'll add it to some kind of substrate, medium, culture it or whatever. Then it's killed. It's usually they use heat to kill the bacteria. So they're no longer live. And you're thinking, oh, you're going to put dead bacteria in your gut? Well, this is, yes, definitely. Because when those bacteria, those microorganisms, they grow and they populate, you want more of those, whether they're dead or alive. This is the time, whether they're dead or alive, they're great for you. So the postbiotics have cell walls that contain some immune boosting kinds of structures within them. This is the thing with postbiotics more than anything else. It's like so good. They're so great for your immune system and what they can do to boost up your immune system. Of course, probiotics and prebiotics are important as well. They're all great. I mean, if you do all of it, you're going to have a really, really healthy microbiome. It's going to help protect you. If your immune system boosts, it's going to be amazing. So the postbiotics are a little more difficult to wrap your brain around them. I think the best way to describe a postbiotic is when you think about sourdough bread, because I'm a sourdough bread baker. what do you do with sourdough bread? You have a yeast starter, right? You've got the yeast, right? That's the live microorganism. That yeast has cell wall constituents. They're called beta glucans. These are potent, powerful nutrients that are good for your immune system, right? Your immune system health. So you're going to put, take that, you don't just take to make your starter. When you make sourdough, you just add water to it. That causes the yeast to grow, ferment that starter. You take some of that and you put it into 5 cups of flour. You let it ferment for 12 hours, right? Well, in that 12 hours, those yeast are working on the carbohydrates in the flour and producing bioactive nutrients, making the yeast grow and populate even more. And so you have all these nutrients, and it's a nutrient, becomes this nutrient dense food. Then when you bake the sourdough, what does it do? It kills the yeast. But the benefits of the yeast cells themselves are retained, right? And so you're getting the benefits of the postbiotic, the yeasts that are no longer active. Well, there's something on those yeast cells. There's something called pili, I don't know. It's just a structure on the cell that helps boost your immune system. So when you talk about postbiotics, we're talking about a new area of research. The scientists aren't even quite sure exactly what it is within these cells of these microorganisms, whether they're dead and alive. They're somewhat baffled. Like, we know these things work on the immune system and they're so good for your immune system. But exactly how they work, it's still kind of somewhat of a mystery. And so I just got intrigued with postbiotics because I had just started hearing that term here about 2 years ago. So I went and did a research on it, went to PubMed.gov, read all these review papers, and gained kind of a basic understanding of it. I ended up giving a continuing education webinar for the Arizona dietitians on postbiotics. Okay, so, but anyway, so it's just like, I'm like, wow, this is so fantastic. One thing that's really kind of great about postbiotics is that they have this parallel benefits to probiotics. So the postbiotics provide a lot of similar health benefits, but because they're inactivated, you can add those. They're not just easily destroyed like the probiotics are. So you can add them to a lot of food products. You can put them in pills and powders, and they stay. The benefits are all there as well. So anyway, so Marilyn, is this making any sense?
Great. Did you want to talk a little bit about daily wellness?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking and you're loving what you're hearing about postbiotics, well, Daily Wellness from LifeVantage launched about 6 months ago, Marilyn, I think, about 6 months. And Daily Wellness is just amazing, wonderful drink. It's a powder, and I take it every day. And I love, love, love this product for myself. It's helped my sinus congestion and all the allergies that I've acquired down here in Arizona. So it has a postbiotic in it called Fermented Yeast Extract. And there's a really great backstory on this. Marilyn, you probably know this, right? About how that fermented yeast started? Okay, so Marilyn's on a farm in Iowa, right, Marilyn?
Right.
That's where this fermented yeast extract in here, the postbiotic in here, started on a farm in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, about 60 years ago, when a farmer was feeding his cattle. When he was feeding his cattle fermented grains, he noticed that his cattle were so much healthier. He had healthy cattle. And so that led him to start a feed company. And after many years, they noticed that the employees who worked in this feed company around this fermented grains that they were feeding, that were producing, that they're making in this plant, that these employees were super healthy. Rarely did they submit a health claim, right? And they had a control group. The employees working in the office, they're like typical Americans, right? Sick all the time, right? I don't want to say sick all the time, but you know what I'm saying. Typical health issues, claims. So that led this company to partner with a biotech company to produce a fermented yeast for humans and for human consumption, right? So that's what's in here. And so then what the biotech company did was that they started conducting research. And there's amazing research on it. I'm not going to get into it today. I have another webinar where I'm doing that. But so there's 7 preclinical studies on the fermented yeast extract in here, and 8 human clinical trials. These are the gold standard studies of double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trials. It shows that this fermented yeast actually works on your microbiome and helps with balancing out that microbiome and boosting up the bacteria in the microbiome that's protecting you. That's where you get your immune benefits. There's something called the gut-lung connection. And there's specific nutrients in here that promote this gut-lung health. How about that? We know about the gut-brain connection, right? We talked about that with weight management. But there's something called the gut-lung connection, and how a healthy microbiome, it can help with be super protective for your respiratory health. So interesting, right? The more we learn about the microbiome, the more we go, wow, this is definitely the future of health wellness, is focus on our gut microbiome. What can we do to promote that? So not the fermented yeast, not only does it have these nutrients that are great for your respiratory health, it contains, see if I can remember all of them, because there's a long list of nutrients in the fermented yeast extract. There's full complex of B vitamins. There's polyphenols and sterols. Those are the nutrients that are in high amounts in the Mediterranean diet. With beta glucans, those are potent nutrients that help to modulate your immune system. They have, just the beta glucans alone have such a great benefit. There is, let me think here, there's fiber, there's something called phospholipids, trace minerals, bioactive amino acids. This just, it's just, I call it, this is high octane fuel for your immune system. It truly is. But that's not all, you know, Daily Wellness also contains elderberry extract. Elderberry extract has been around for centuries. And so we have centuries of use of elderberry extract for overall wellness and health, especially in the wintertime during cold and flu season, right? And also now there's 1,300 peer-reviewed research articles on elderberry extract. Isn't that amazing? And it's all positive. The health benefits of it are just amazing. So not only do you get the fermented yeast, you're getting the elderberry extract, right, as well. And then you're getting a couple vitamins and a mineral. You're getting vitamin D, vitamin C, and some zinc in there as well. So it's what's really cool is that by that combination of those nutrients, the Daily Wellness targets all 3 components of your immune system, not just your gut, but your innate immune system, the adaptive immune system. So you're getting such a complete immune enhancing product. It's amazing. I wouldn't go a day without it, and it's very delicious. It's a great drink. So.
I love it. I'm actually mixed mine with the prebiotic as well. I don't know if anybody.
Or Axio. It's great with strawberry Axio.
Throw some Axio in there. Yeah, make it extra good. So wonderful, wonderful information. And I didn't know if you wanted to just mention the specific bacteria that remember I had talked about that Dr. Bashar, and she had talked about how her COVID patients recovered better when they had that bacteria.
Right. Okay. So one of the studies that was conducted, one of the peer-reviewed clinical trials that was conducted on Daily Wellness was actually conducted over in Belgium, interesting enough. And it was conducted on, these were people that had bowel irregularity. They suffered from all that, that bloating, distension, just, quality of life with that can be really miserable. And so what they found is that the subjects that were taking the Daily Wellness versus the placebo had a significant improvement in all those symptoms, right? And so they went a little further. What they did was that they analyzed the gut microbiome of the individuals that were on this, right? Finding that it acted, it's not a prebiotic per se, but it acts in a way somewhat like a prebiotic. And that what it did was it modulated the microbiome. It reduced the bad guys and it helped to boost up the good bacteria, particular this called bifidobacteria within the gut bacterium. And so, Marilyn, we also have that in our probiotic,
Right.
the bifidobacterium in there. But also daily wellness helps to promote that as well,
Okay.
right? So you're getting with the probiotic and with this, do you see the great benefits and how the two of them really complement each other? How the three work together, the probiotic, the prebiotic, and the daily wellness with the fermented yeast. It's kind of like a comprehensive gut health program, don't you think?
Yes, everything, every asset, like
Every-
asset that you talked about. I liked how you said the adaptive immune system, the innate immune system, and what was the third one again?
The barrier, the gut.
The barrier. Yep. So yeah, if you're taking the Vitality Stack along with daily wellness and this prebiotic, I think that is really the mother,
That's
you
right.
know, kind of the mothership of your wellness approach. And do you want to share, there's so many people that are looking at those protocols that we're seeing about
Yes, we're seeing some of those protocols out there, right? If you look at those, some immune promoting protocols, right? But those are basically high dose vitamin C, zinc, quercetin, and
D.
vitamin D. And so I like to think when it comes to vitamin supplementation, I mean, our company basically, our focus is more on activation and gut health. So, we're not a really vitamin company. But does that be right,
Right.
Marilyn? Wouldn't you agree that we're really not a vitamin company in a sense? But we do have some targeted vitamins within our products, just because we want those vitamins, nutrients work together in synergy with some of the plant extract to get the activation of our anti-aging pathways, right? So it's a little different, very different concept. So when I look at vitamin supplementation, and I started really educating dietitians about this years ago, is I look at, there's like 3 buckets of supplementation. So the first bucket that you have is what you need for your daily vitamin intake for health and wellness, like the RDA, what you need for tissue saturation. And that's that first bucket, right? The second bucket would be if you had a deficiency of vitamin. I mean, most people are deficient in vitamin D. Now, that's one I take extra every day. The RDA of that is 800 IUs. I take 5,000. Well, I know I was deficient. I had my vitamin D levels checked 20 years ago, found out I definitely need that amount for myself, right? And then the next bucket would be for critical illness or acute illness. So, hey, you get a bad, nasty flu bug, right? When you're really sick, it puts a big demand on your body for extra nutrients. That's where you may want to take that extra, that couple grams of vitamin C a day, boost up the quercetin, maybe add a little extra zinc. But daily wellness already has like 10 milligrams of zinc. The RDA is like 12 to 15. So you're already getting a really good little dose of zinc in there. You have to be careful with zinc, not to exceed 50 milligrams, because that can induce a copper deficiency. So this is one thing you have to understand with vitamin mineral supplementation. You want to make sure that you have a balance of these nutrients if you're doing this on a daily basis and not just mega dose on just one, because nutrients work in synergism. And you can upset the balance, just like I said with the zinc, if you take too much. And it doesn't really need to be that excessive. So you have to be kind of careful and cautious. So that's what our very, very smart scientists at our company realize, that people are probably adding other vitamins to their regimen, right? And so we didn't want to get that. You don't want to go to that, therapeutic dose at all. You want to stay here lower for just your regular, everyday, daily intake, right? That's what this is designed for, right? And they all work, these nutrients all work together in this product. So I hope that explains it
Yes,
better.
yes. And then quercetin is in our NRF1 as well as Axio.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Yes. So we're already getting a daily wellness intake of those of quercetin. Yes.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we're covered. With
Yep.
that.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you have another Zoom coming up, so I will let you pop off. Does anybody have a quick question before we let Joanne go? Thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge with us today. I took lots of notes.
Thank you. I enjoyed being on with you.
Okay.
Anytime, Marilyn, anytime. Okay.
All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, it looks like, yep, there's no other questions. This was recorded. So I will get the recording out to everybody. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Have a great Saturday.
Bye.
Take care. Thanks, Joanne.
You're welcome.